Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the podcast where we dive into the world of sports, gaming, and things in between. I'm your host, Jeffrey Long, and welcome to Jeff's World. So, for this episode, we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to have a special guest on the show, which is a good friend of mine. So, for how these episodes are going to work, I'm only going to have one topic, then the guest comes on. But the one topic is going to be a pretty big topic, and I'm going to go on that topic for a little bit before we switch over to the guest. So, I love racing, so this topic is going to be about racing, obviously, from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One, especially. But we're going to focus on Formula One for this episode. But the thing about Formula One is that I rarely hear about it. First of all, Formula One is like a international racing league. It's not like NASCAR where it's mainly centralized in America. But there's the Indian Grand Prix. No, wait, I don't think there's an Indian Grand Prix. There's the Mexican Grand Prix, the French Grand Prix, a lot of huge tracks all around the world. And there's one in Austin, Texas called the Circuit of the Americas for the American Grand Prix, or the United States Grand Prix. I don't really know which one it's called. But the problem with that is Formula One, it's not really a thing here in America. The only American fans of Formula One I know are some people I know in some Discords that I'm in, like the SEMO Esports Discord and a few other Discords. But it almost seems like every time an American tries to get into Formula One, they just get harassed or bullied. Like, for example, there's a famous video of during a broadcast of a Formula One race. I forgot where it is. I think it's in the Circuit of the Americas, but they cut to a fan who found one of the field mics, and he leans over to it, and he starts making car noises with it. Like, he's going, vroom, meow, meow, stuff like that. And it's hilarious, but if you go to the comments section, it's just a bunch of people saying, oh, he's American, and stuff like that. Like that's suddenly a problem. I don't know why that's a problem, depending on where you're from, but whatever. But yeah, they just get harassed or insulted solely because they're from the U.S. But here's the main question of this topic. Is Formula One failing in the United States? The thing about Formula One is that basically everybody knows about it. It's an international thing, like I mentioned. You rarely, if not at all, I don't think, see an advertisement for Formula One in the United States. When was the last time you saw an advertisement in the United States with a Formula One driver or a car? All you see are NASCAR drivers or occasionally an IndyCar driver. But you just don't see any ads for them. There's only one American team, and it's Haas, and I think they're based in Carolina somewhere. I think it's North Carolina. But they're not good. I hate to be mean, but they're just not good. There are no American drivers currently, and there hasn't been one for a long time. Very little for Americans to relate to besides the Circuit of the Americas, because they raced there, I think, a couple weeks ago, actually. I forgot who won that, but that's all we really have to root for is when they occasionally come to the U.S. It's really hard to introduce something new to us, by the way. There's another topic to add on. We're very nationalistic. We prefer our own American-made things like NASCAR, which is a valid argument because that's just the way us Americans are. Like, if you introduce a mainly European thing over to America, we're going to be like, nah, that's okay, but we like our NASCAR. But I've watched, NASCAR and the Indy 500 for IndyCar. It's a tradition for me to watch it every year. And even, I'm in college now, so... But I think the race happens when I'm back at home. But whenever I'm not able to watch it, my dad usually texts me who wins the race. But I remember watching, the Indy 500 as a kid and loving it. But you never really hear anything about Formula One in the United States. But Formula One, another thing compared to, NASCAR, not anymore because the rules are getting really complex in NASCAR. But the rules in Formula One, thanks to the rules in Formula One, it's vastly different from NASCAR and IndyCar. In my opinion, NASCAR is declining in viewership because of the rules. Because now there's staged racing, and there's a huge point system. In fact, I think there's 2 point systems you have to worry about if you're a driver. But it's no longer put them on a track, let them race for 200, 300 laps, and whoever's in first place gets the most points. It's no longer like that. And that's why, in my mind, NASCAR is declining in viewership. The rules are just complex and hard to understand instead of just driving around and be quicker than everyone else on the track. With IndyCar, it's somewhat like that. There's no stage racing, at least from what I've heard. They put cars on the track, you qualify for the race, and then you go. And whoever's in first place gets the most points, wins the race, yada, yada, you get the rules. But in Formula One, there's a lot of other rules. There's no staged racing, but there's a lot of other rules, like a bunch of flags. There's a flag literally to say, hey, you're too slow, let the guy behind you pass you, or else you're disqualified. But yeah, just a bunch of rules. And here's another issue. This is mainly for the broadcasting side of it all. But if there's a race going on somewhere in Europe, let's say the British Grand Prix, I highly doubt there's going to be Americans watching it. Because while they're doing that, we're all asleep. I'm trying to sleep. And, my sleep schedule is not the best, I'll be very honest. But us Americans are most likely asleep and won't stay up to watch the races, assuming a network will even broadcast it. I know there was a race, the Mexican Grand Prix, that was covered by, I think, ESPN Plus. But I got to watch the ending to that, and it was really nice. Shout out to Max Verstappen, by the way, Super Max. The U.S., a thing about the U.S. is that it has a really strong car culture and a lot of racing culture as well. Because you have Detroit, which is literally called the Motor City. You have the Indy 500, the Daytona 500. You have a bunch of races. Even if it's not motor racing, you have horse races here, like the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont Stakes, and the Preakness. You have all that. Just a lot of racing culture here in the U.S. But it's just getting pretty much ignored by Formula One besides Circuit of the Americas. But don't get me wrong, they've tried in the past. They've had races in Las Vegas, Detroit, Phoenix, and Circuit of the Americas, like I mentioned a couple thousand times. You may have heard of it. But still nothing is sticking. And sure, you could argue, but what about Circuit of the Americas that you've mentioned 1,000 times? Isn't that sticking? And yeah, it's sticking, but it's not the best thing. The guy who's in charge of Formula One, I forgot his name. I know what he looks like, but I forgot his name. He has been on record as stating that the feather in his cap would be having a race in the streets of Manhattan, or at least having it as a background, a backdrop. He's wanted that, but the closest he got was racing in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and they've had a few Formula One races there, but then there's a huge disaster going on with the tire war back then, which there are a few YouTube videos out there I highly recommend. I think one by Slapshoes. If you haven't seen Slapshoes, he's a really good entertainer and video maker for racing. So if you're a racing fan, I highly recommend Slapshoes. But back on topic, pretty much Formula One's been declining, except for with the Circuit of the Americas. You'll get an occasional boost in viewership, but that's pretty much it. So here's my answer for if Formula One is failing here in the U.S. If Formula One doesn't start advertising better, I would recommend advertising Lewis Hamilton or Bottas or even Verstappen. And why not Lando Norris? I like Lando. He's a pretty cool guy. But if you don't start, and I'm saying you as if you're Formula One, but I know you're not. If Formula One, steps up their advertising game, then I fully believe Americans will get invested in the Formula One. Because it's racing at the end of the day, and it looks awesome. The cars look amazing. They're racing machines built solely to go fast and turn really sharp. But yeah, it's really fun to watch. If they don't step it up, I fully believe Formula One is going to fail here in the United States. I hate to say that, but what else is there to say? I mean, the advertising here is pretty much none. It's all NASCAR and IndyCar and other sports like football, baseball, anything else, even hockey. But if Formula One, I've never seen a Formula One advertisement here in the U.S. I've seen videos of them uploaded on YouTube, but none of them were advertised towards me. I know a lot of the good drivers like Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Bottas, Perez. You got a lot of great big names out there in Formula One. Take advantage of that. I know a lot of people here in the U.S. who love Formula One, but most races are in areas where, we're going to be asleep by the time the race happens, which, whatever, that's inevitable when it comes to a league that's international. But if Formula One does not start advertising better in the U.S., or at least, step it up, then I think they're going to fail in the U.S. when it comes to viewership. Because, of course, you're going to have people watching from Europe who stay up late to watch the races, but we're over here watching football, watching baseball. Well, baseball's over, but yeah, if they got to step up the ad game. All right, so now for our special guest, what I did, or what we did, is that when it comes to the special guest, we recorded it early in the week because she was only available at that time, which is fine. There's no issue with that. So we're gonna go ahead and take it away to me 6 days ago. So take it away, Jeffrey from 6 days ago. Our first guest to the show is a artist who specializes in digital work and a gamer. You can find her on Instagram and Twitter at Kier_draws_things. I wish I didn't say underscore. Welcome to the show, my good friend Kier, everybody.
Hello.
All right, so you're an artist, a digital artist. Like, is there a difference, or is it like pretty much in the same realm? Like, can a digital
So,
artist easily be a physical artist?
well, every artist starts traditionally, which is paper, pen and paper, or pencil and paper. I started traditionally, so I'm currently in college learning how to redraw on paper again. But I really don't classify myself as a traditional nor an digital artist. I just say that I am an artist.
That's really interesting. What college do you go to?
I go to Calhoun Community College.
Okay, so community colleges, isn't that like you go there 2 years and then you just choose what university or so you want to go to, or is that
I
like
mean,
for some things?
yes, and I plan on transferring to a four-year college of I don't know when exactly when I get my associate's degree, hopefully.
Yeah.
But
Do you
yeah,
know what that school's gonna be?
well, I hope to go to a University of Huntsville or UEH.
Okay, yeah, Alabama Huntsville.
Yep.
I heard that's a pretty good school. I applied there. They haven't sent anything back. That was 3 years ago. So UAH, if you're listening to this, hi. You still have my application in the garbage bin? It's probably in the garbage bin. What got you into art? Is it something that you were just good at as a kid and you wanted to pursue it, or is it more of a hobby that you love doing and you want to just grow better?
Oh, quite funny story actually. I was never gifted actually. I had to work for it. Some artists are actually naturally gifted and I applaud them, but I have to stay with the you work for what you can do.
Yeah.
And that's what I am at. I started at a very young age. I didn't get into it until about 2013 when I actually started like getting heavily into it. And then I found it as my passion after being published twice, one for poetry and the other one for actual artwork.
I didn't even know you got published. Where'd you get published?
I got published in a magazine. It's a really small magazine company. Their first release was when I got published in.
That's really cool. Next topic. We're going into sports now. Good luck. You're a hockey fan because we've both
Yes.
been to plenty of Huntsville Havoc games with one another. In fact, we met at a Havoc game, coincidentally.
Yep, I was dressed as a ref.
Dressed as a ref with the sign. I'm blind check mark, deaf check mark, good at skating. I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, if I ever come across that picture, I'll have to send it to you. I doubt I'll find it though. But what attracts you to hockey, and what's your favorite hockey moment you can recall?
Well, I grew up actually ever since I was a child. I was always with hockey. I always went to hockey games when I was younger, so I'm kind of just grew up with it. I grew up with the Channel Cats for until they changed into the Huntsville Havoc.
So that's what happened to the Channel Cats. They just became the Havoc, or did they move somewhere and we just got another franchise?
I don't know exactly. I think they just kind of, went
Died.
off, died.
That's all. Just they died. But yeah,
Yeah.
we have the Havoc now, so like it's a good ending.
Oh yeah, we still have hockey.
Yeah. What's your favorite hockey moment you can remember?
Are you talking about NHL or just
Any hockey
hockey in
moment.
general? Um, well, I got to witness The Seattle Kraken's first game that they ever played.
Wait, were you at the
Oh
in
no, I
Seattle?
watched it on TV.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, bro, you went to a Seattle game
Oh no 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 no
and you
no
didn't tell
I
me?
no. But by far one of the greatest moments was when I witnessed my first bench brawl at a hockey game.
Oh, please tell. That sounds interesting.
So it was when the Mississippi Surge was a team
Yeah, I remember them.
before they, just said, nah, we're done.
Yeah, we're going to Roanoke.
Yep.
Called the Dogs.
And it was it was a mess. It stopped the whole game. And like for 20 minutes they were trying to like stop everyone from fighting.
I think there's a video out there of the brawl that has over 1 million views.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because I remember the fight started when one of the players like charged onto the bench and started fighting.
It was like a dive just about.
Dude probably got his ass handed to.
Oh yeah.
Like there's like 4 or 5 players just going off on him while they're trying to get him out. If
Oh
I
yeah.
ever find that video, I'll link it in the description.
It's easy to find. You just
Yeah,
could look
pretty
up
sure. Yeah. Mississippi
yeah, all you
Surge,
have,
Huntsville Havoc, Brawl.
yeah.
All right, so gaming. You're a gamer. I always see you live on Xbox whenever I turn it on. You're either playing something. What's your favorite game? Like, out of all the games, which one's your favorite?
Oh man, there's so many. I can't say that I have a favorite game, but the current game that has my full attention to is Far Cry 6.
Far Cry 6. That game came out fairly recently, right?
Yes.
I would
It
say
was
recently, but it's not like Vanguard recently where it dropped a few days ago. Like
it dropped in October, I think.
October, all right. Like a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. Or
I yeah, I think so.
I've seen like nothing but memes of it. Like
It's
especially the guy like in the tuxedo, the
uh
main villain.
yeah, he's actually a really good villain.
Yeah,
Like
he's a great actor. Like
out of all the villains of Far Cry, I liked him the best. It has a good story.
the last celebrity that was a villain in a video game that I played was Advanced Warfare as Kevin Spacey as Jonathan Irons. In my mind, like he slayed that role. Like, it was
Oh yeah.
perfect. It was a villain you can hate. And for this, I'm yet to play Far Cry 6. I'd like to. I think my cousin's played it. Actually, I'll have to ask him. But he's
It,
been too
it
busy playing the cockfighting game mode. Honestly, I think that's what's got his attention. But from what I've heard,
yeah.
good acting on their end.
Yeah, it has a really good storyline. It's also an extremely long game.
Really.
Oh yeah.
All right. What's your favorite genre of game, or of gaming? Bleh. Like you like first-person shooters? You like
I like open
third-person?
world.
Open
That's
world
just
gaming. That's a really good genre to play.
I just like to explore and, do my own thing for a little bit, then actually continue with the main storyline.
There was a game long time ago called The Simpsons Hit and Run. That was my favorite game ever, and I played it a lot as a kid on the PlayStation
I
2 when I
remember
lived in
that.
Arizona. And then one night my dad got on to play, and a blue spark shot out of the PlayStation 2, and it never turned on again. I never
Other
got
than
to
it
play
died.
Simpsons Hit and Run ever again. So, to anyone out there that has a copy of Simpsons Hit and Run 2, just hook me up. Just say, hey, I have a copy for you. And I play that game again. All right, so this will be the last question for you, and then we'll end it. What's your main goal for what you do? And in this case, it's art, your art skills. What's your main goal for it? Like, you want to just constantly get better, or you want to work in art?
Every artist wants to be the best and always wants to improve. You are improving every time you draw, so like of course. My career that I do want to get into is character design.
Character design. So I'm
Yes.
assuming that's what it is, like just designing characters.
I don't know if it actually has a name, but all I know is it's concept designs or something like that. I along the lines.
That's actually a really interesting career field because like character designs, like it can go a pretty long way. Like character designs in movies, well, animated movies specifically,
Oh, I
video
want to be
games,
more on the video game side.
video game side.
Oh yeah.
I feel like with video games, you can really get a lot more freedom with what you want to like create. Because like in movies, like a lot of movies nowadays are in general are based off of books. So
Yep.
so like there's a limit or a boundary to what you can create. Like if Berenstein Bears became a movie, or there probably is a Berenstein Bears movie out there, and I just haven't seen it yet or heard of it.
I think there is,
There
but I'm
probably
not
is.
sure.
How old is that show? Like it's been a long. It's been on since I was an infant.
Oh man, older than me and you both.
I'll have to look it up. But yeah, like with I lost my words there. But when it's based off of a book, there's like boundaries of what you can customize. Like if my example, the Berenstein Bears made a movie, then you have to make your character design based off of the characters. Like you can't, or in some rare instance you can, like put a random character that you designed out there.
Yeah.
I'm totally not looking it up right now. Berenstein Bears movie. Please tell me there's a movie. Nope. No movie.
Oh, I thought there was.
Nope. There are two. There's an episode called "Go to the Movies," which was an episode of the Berenstein Bears. So I guess that doesn't count. Actually, I take that back. I think there was a movie.
Oh?
Okay, so it's not like a 90-minute film movie. It's a 30-minute long movie.
Ah,
It's
okay, that
called
explains.
The Berenstein Bears Christmas Tree, and it came out in 1979.
Of course, it's Christmas related.
Papa Bear and the cubs search the woods for a perfect Christmas tree, but run afoul of the woodland animals who live in the trees they aim to cut down. Oh my god.
I think I actually remember watching that as a child. It kind of sounds familiar to me.
It's 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oof.
I'm afraid to go look at the reviews because like it's all just sarcastic.
Oh, I guarantee it is.
Like, oh my god, this is the greatest movie of all time. This will be the only movie I watch ever till the day I die.
Oh yeah.
Sarcastic things like that. But yeah, I think that's all the time we have. This is really fun getting to talk to you, and thank you for coming out to the show. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.